Come and shoot the breeze with myself and guests as we deep dive into some topics that may just pin your eyelids right back. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers around the globe, and thank you for joining us for another Shoot the Breeze with myself, host Mandy Horton, and my guest today is Ginny Jones. Welcome, Ginny.
Hi everyone. Hi Mandy. Thank you for
Hello.
inviting me on.
Oh, look, so welcome. And this topic, of course, I feel is going to be, well listened to actually, because it's something that's brewing, isn't
It
it?
is.
More and more on the planet.
Yeah.
So just in saying that, what Ginny is a medical intuitive, a cosmic harmonic light healing, higher consciousness activator. And Ginny has a lot of connection with, so she speaks light language, but she also draws these amazing, intuitively brings through these amazing um, higher code blueprints, aren't they, of
They are. Yeah.
people, the soul and being.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
Ginny did one for me. And I tell you what, when I sat with this once I'd received it, it actually embodied into me. It was an embodiment, and there was it was quite big, actually, major in the sense of the frequency and how it actually embodied into me. So this conversation today, we're going to talk about Ginny's very active in communicating with the outer realms and the galactic beings around the field of Earth, and the information that comes through. But the activity is quite interesting, isn't it?
It's
Ginny
amazing.
also, yeah, she also sits with and embodies her guides and different ones. So in this, we will be talking a wee bit about that as well, but mainly about the galactic and communications and connections. So Ginny, over to you. How did it all start? And oh my goodness, tell us all about it.
Thank you. Um, well, for people who don't know, I've sensed spirit and energy for since I was a kid, but I was frightened of it back then. But anyway, after trying to hide myself from it, even though it was natural to my world, eventually embodying it and, losing the fear of it, as often kids do have.
Mm,
Well, back in my day, kids had it. Now the young
totally.
ones coming through are pretty amazing and onto it straight away. Um, so I then started to learn everything about spiritual stuff, learning mediumship, healing, you name it. When you're at the beginning of your journey, you just want to soak up as much information as
Oh,
possible. Yeah, and I got to a point where I said I was in this mediumship weekly group, which was fantastic. I learned so much in there, but I'd been in it for about 4 years. It was an ongoing thing, and I felt like it was holding me back because I'm one of these people that are really creative inside, and I search for new things,
mm,
new
mm,
opportunities, but new information. I search for that and new ways of doing things.
yes, yes.
So yeah, and I said to my guides, right, that's it. I reached a point now where I wanted them to teach me directly, and I said to them, right, I'm going to give up this class and I want you to teach me directly. And the floodgates, once I'd done that, actually opened.
Yeah.
So spiritually, I developed a lot more. Yeah. And then it was just not long after that I had my first galactic experience. And that was when I was around a friend's house. This was probably about 17 years ago, around a friend's house. I'd been at a workshop all day, so we went round there for dinner that evening, and I was with two friends that don't really believe in this stuff. They kind of believe in healing, but nothing else.
Right.
Um, around their house, and we'd had dinner, and it was just me and my husband, and they were sat there, and behind them was this ranch slider. The curtains were open. It was a summer evening, and all of a sudden the lights in the house started to go a bit crazy, especially the one above the table. It was
Right.
going nuts, and the other ones were also flickering on and off a little bit. So I thought it was spirit. In my
Mhm.
head, I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if this lady's father's come through with a message or something, and he's really desperately trying to get
Yeah.
attention, you know. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go into the bathroom and I'm going to see if the lights in the rest of the house are going crazy. And they were too, but it was very gentle. The further away from the table, the more gentle the lights were doing their thing. Over the table, the light was going ballistic. Anyway, I came back, sat down, and I was just staring in between my friends, looking out the ranch slider. And I saw this little grey being who was probably about 4 feet high, looking like what you would imagine a little grey being would look like, with the big eyes and hardly any mouth at all, no nose really, just two little holes, and I really clocked that image. Literally, I want to say he stayed there for 10, God, how long? Couple of minutes. It was
Yeah.
quick. Couple of minutes, then gone, vanished. And then I sat back and I thought, I wasn't frightened at all by then, because I got rid of all my fear of all that stuff. I sat back and I thought, oh, wow. I couldn't say anything because I was with people, that weren't into it. I couldn't say anything. So
Yes.
I just thought, oh my God, that's pretty amazing. And then I got the impression, it's like they implanted this impression in my mind: we're watching you. That's all the words that came in. We're watching you. And I thought, wow, okay. When I got out, got me and John, who's my husband, got out of the house. I immediately told him. He didn't see anything. Um, immediately told him, he was used to me sharing all sorts of things with
I
him,
was
so it
just
didn't.
gonna say, yep.
Yeah,
Lucky.
yeah. He probably thought in his head, oh my God, she's seeing other things now.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and after that, I started to see flash bulbs in the sky at night. So I'd
Mhm.
go out with the dogs last thing at night so they could do their last night, evening wheeze and all that. It would probably be about 11 o'clock. Go out, just stand there while they're doing their thing, and I'd look up at the sky and I'd just sort of expand my heart up, and I'd look up, and all of a sudden I'd see like 3 flash bulbs. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, I know. I just feel so blessed to be on this journey. I really do, with the connection with our galactic friends. Um, and that was amazing. And then that happens sort of every night. And I started getting these downloads, which I now realize I was getting before that, of light language or light codes. And I would be asleep and I would dream. It was like interrupt my dream, and all of a sudden I would see this coded language being written in like a bright sparkly gold with a black background, and it would be written like that, and then another line, then another line, and it would start vanishing as it was going down, and the whole thing would move up, and again all this information. This happened to me regularly, and I knew that it was a download of some sort, but I didn't consciously know what it meant.
Yes.
Yeah, I've come to realise, because I've been getting them now for 17 years. They were concentrated like that back then, with actual language and codes being written, and
Mhm.
sometimes it would come in a spiral. Sometimes I see it written on something that I recognise, like a helicopter blade or some
Oh,
other
yeah.
just random
Yep.
thing. Yeah,
Yes.
and I would see these codes being written now. And I can't really remember the changeover point, but now I still get them. But now it comes into these with these bright white flashes of such intense light, it wakes me up. So before I was dreaming and I'd get the language and I'd wake up and I'd still see it all being written. That's how it happened before. Now
Yeah.
I get these flashes. So I reckon I probably wake up after the second flash. So flash, flash, wake up, and then I still see another couple of these bright flashes that come straight in. And I know that I've had so much happen. So I'll just finish this bit. I know that these light codes are interacting with my light body. It's
Yes.
information that's coming in, activating me, activating my light body for the work that I do and have done all the way through.
Yeah.
So not long after that first experience with that little grey ET, I had a healing practice in Auckland and I'd get clients coming in the room. I think it was probably about 3 weeks afterwards. I would get like a hologram, and I think by the images that I've seen online that this hologram was of a Arcturian person that was in a uniform, a very elongated head at the back, very slim, tiny features, not big eyes, actual
Yeah.
smaller eyes, quite elongated face as well, and very, very slim, no heart, well, flesh on her, but no like we've got, no
Yeah.
what looked like muscle or anything like that. And her uniform, it looked like she had padded shoulders on, so like there was something on her shoulders. And her uniform, the actual material moved. It was like it was interacting and moving and glistening and glowing with this like aliveness. That's the only way I can describe it, really. And because I was working on a client when this first happened, so I'm like, oh, okay. I was kind of used to guides coming in and family members coming in, but then I was working on this client, and she started putting images in my mind of the layers of the light body and what I could do by sticking my hands in there and moving around with, I think, with these codes that they'd already downloaded to me. I was actually activating the person's codes that was already in their light body, or their soul, connected to their soul and their
Yes.
multi-dimensional self. Amazing. And that teaching carried on for a good few weeks. I forget actually whether it was 3 weeks or 3 months. I don't know, but it was for a good few weeks. And every time I had a client, she would come in and teach me things of what I could do and the layers and everything. And they also told me how to sing. So the sound, so I sing light language. So the sound was just as important to vibrate the energy and to help
Yes.
with the adjustments.
Yeah.
And speaking light language, again, it's all to do with the codes that you're expressing from your soul, from your light body, and helping this person as a healer. Twice while this teaching was happening, a hologram of a human male came in and stood the other side of the table. And I knew, even though that nobody told me, I just knew deep within my own being that this person was actually asleep somewhere on planet Earth. And he was being taught what she was teaching me that particular day. So twice the same man came in. God, goodness me, fast track. After that initial ET contact, I'm like, oh my God, online, searching, anyone else in New Zealand that's had ET contact. And I came across the CE5, New Zealand CE5 people. I ended up going to meet Doug Parker, who is one of the CE5 chats. He showed me a lot of photographs of craft and all sorts of other things, and And so I joined the C5. I went to a couple of meditations, but then that kind of waned off. And I carried on, still getting flash bulbs. So I
Yep.
knew that they were still connecting with me, to the point where I must tell this story because it makes me laugh every time I think about it. Me and John decided to go up to Duda's Point, which is near Beachlands in Maraetai, just outside of
Yep.
Auckland, for a night walk. And we took a flask and a blanket and everything, and it was a beautiful summer evening. We went for a walk up there, and we just sat in there, sitting there chatting. We'd see the lights of Auckland and the lights of another small communities that were dotted around, and Waiheke Island we could see. Anyway, I just said out of the blue, I'll just see if my friends are here with us. So I said, give me the torch. So he gave me the torch, and I did. In my head, I'm going, if you're there, please show me, because I wanted John to experience what I'd
Yes.
experienced. So if you're there, can you please show me? So I got the torch and I just did 3 flashes up in the sky. Nothing happened. And I'm going, please, please, if you're there, and I'm really expanding my consciousness up into space. And I said, if you're there, can you please, please just let us know that you're there somehow? 3 more flashes, nothing happened. I did the same. Please, please, if you're there, I'm just going to try one more time. If you're not there, then all well and good, but if you're there, please, please show yourselves. 3 more flashes, and literally not even really high up in space either. It was fairly low down. 3 flashes that were so bright, it was like pooh, 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 that were moving. So I knew there was a craft above us. And I turned around to John and I said, okay, what was that? And he went, he's an engineer, so he's got a logical thinking mind. And he said, I have no idea what that was. So he witnessed it. And I know that once someone's had contact, they've clocked your energy signature. They know exactly where you are on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And there's many races with the Galactic Federation. And not only have you got the Galactic Federation, which is the overall body, there are other federations, but there are many different species of galactic beings that are visiting the Earth.
Yeah.
And I've had so much contact since, amazing contact. I go on yearly expeditions down to the South Island with the New Zealand C5 people. I have become now the Tauranga C5 coordinator, and in the summer I'm going to be doing large events, and we'll see what happens. If they always
Beautiful.
turn up, actually. Yeah. I hold events at my house too every week. Yeah, which they always turn up for that. The first, apart from that little grey being, the next major on the ground contact I had was at a C5 event at the back of Thames, actually.
What does C5 mean? What does that stand for?
Close encounters of the 5th kind.
Oh, okay. Yep. Cool.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, Dr. Stephen Greer in the States was the one that first started that movement.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been over there and done a contact group thing with him. I don't feel called to do that either. I'm having contact here. I don't need to do that. This event in Thames, we had craft that were coming down, big flash of light, shooting back up in another direction. We had a massive ground flash, which is where it's like a point of light that starts in nowhere. And it literally comes down, lights up absolutely everything for a few seconds, and then you can see the light track back up and disappear. We had that. We had beings on the ground with us. We had beings walking through the house, all cloaked. Apart from when we were sat in circle, we actually could see. They were semi-cloaked, so you could see like the outline of someone stood. And there was a being stood behind each and every one of us in the circle. We've had people being touched. We've had people being healed. We've had sparks of light on the ground. Um, oh, just so much, you know. And then of course you can see with your third eye if you've got inner sight, you can actually see with your third eye that the beings and what they look like,
Yeah.
which I'm able to do. Um, so I've drawn some of the ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen like several different grey beings, a Pleiadian being, an aquatic being who anyone who knows Mary Rodwell, which is Australia's like ET lady, um,
Mhm.
she used one of my aquatic being drawings for one of her presentations that she was doing years ago. This was, um,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
great too because you're a great artist, so you know you could do that sort of thing. I've had many contact me as well, and lots of
mm,
sightings and exciting things that have happened over my time with them as well. And
yeah,
yeah, I couldn't draw them. I wouldn't be
no,
able to draw them though. That's the thing, you know. I can
yeah,
yeah describe them, but I couldn't draw them. But yeah,
yeah,
it's a very different energy to a Ginny. You
it
know,
is
like
very
you
much so.
definitely like you can definitely define it as being that because it's not
Yeah,
like any other sort of frequency that we have here on the planet.
yeah,
Um, and I've had I've had them move in. Like there was a young boy that went sort of AWOL, really. He disappeared for a few days, and his parents didn't know where he was. And somebody sent them to me and said, you know, so I tuned in and I said, look, he's going to be back in about 2 days' time. He's okay though, and I couldn't quite pick up what was happening, but I said he'll be fine, and he is coming home. Sure enough, on the day that I'd said, he arrived home, and his mum had said, well, when he does turn up, I'm going to bring him to you and, you know, see what's going on.
mm,
Anyway, he said that what he'd done was he lived in a beach area over in Dargaville on the west coast of us here in Whangarei. And there's a lot of activity out there.
there
And I used to
is,
live
there
over that
is,
side.
yeah,
Anyway, he'd gone out this night and he said something about, I wonder what I could see, you know. And it's always a calling in, isn't it? Really, you
yes,
tend to, you know,
yeah,
there's that calling in. Anyway, he said he was in this vision. After that, he went to bed or whatever, and he was in this vision where he was standing on the edge of a like a cornfield, maize field. And he said this military dressed man, American military dressed, came out of the corn, stood
hmm,
beside him or in front of him at the field there, and he said from that point on nothing was ever the same. And
right,
and he went quite off key mentally, all that sort of thing. He
yeah,
had quite a profound change.
yeah,
AWOL came in, I put him on the table, and as I stepped in, oh my God, these beings stood at the end of the table there. And also in him was this being that was of the most pure innocence I have
mm,
ever felt in my life,
mm,
ever, never before. And this thing opened its eyes and looked at me through him.
mm,
And I realized that these two had made some sort of agreement that it was
yes,
going to observe life from here in this form with him.
yeah,
It hadn't taken him over. It was
no,
just that he was going to come back through. He was still there. Um, and there was nothing I could do about that. So that was all good with me. But it was
yeah,
very, oh my God, I couldn't, that feeling of that innocence never left me.
mm,
It was like, it
I
was the
know,
purest of innocence.
yeah,
I, I was blown away. But
yeah,
he came right.
absolutely,
He came right. But it did take me a bit to get these guys out of my house as well, though. They were
did
very
it,
reluctant to leave. And there was a
yeah,
feeling of almost like they had got stuck here as well,
hmm,
which was
some
sort of
do,
yes. And I had to
yes, they
call,
do,
what I did was I called in their clan to come
mm,
in and pick them up, basically.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was one of them. But I used to always go up to this farm. We used to do sweet lodges and things up there, and it was at the base of what we call Mount Tutamoi, which is a base. Like you'd see lights, you'd see them flying in and out and going into the mountain. And
Yeah.
I went and did a vision quest up there. I was guided by spirit to go up and sit up there through the night. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, but okay, let's do it. I was sort of excited, but that fear base.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, all of the beings came through and showed me. But we used to see these triangular three lights, and they'd be moving. They were actually triangular ships, and there would be three of them, and we'd see them all in unison, just moving at the same pace
Mm.
across the sky. Um, Another time, those lights, the flashing, I'd
Yeah.
go out, I'd say, is anyone out, who's out there tonight, and the same thing, these flashes. And
Yeah.
then this one night, my daughter said to me, Mum, come and have a look at this. And because I'd said to her, when I say, is there anyone out there, there's often a flash, and she must have done this. I didn't ask her if she did
Yeah.
actually, but anyway, she said, Mum, come and have a look at this. And I went out, and there was a major flashing. And
Mm.
then this thing just moved very slowly, and then all of a sudden sped and just disappeared. It was like you
Yeah.
saw it almost go through
Fantastic.
this portal, like it was like
Yeah. Yeah.
so
It's
cool.
amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the feeling
Yeah.
you get, I know that feeling that you said about that purity, that pure unconditional love, because that aquatic being that came in when I was healing someone, actually, this being came in, and the unconditional love that came from that being, even though, they looked different, and I've got no problem with anybody looking different, but the
No.
unconditional love, you wouldn't expect that feeling to come from this being that looked the way they looked. They had
Yes.
thin ears and like a point here and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the end of the session, the person I was doing a healing on was a medium. And I said to her at the end, when I brought her back through into the room, I said, did you feel if there was anyone here? She said, yes, I did. And I said, did you see what they looked like? Yes, I did. Can you
Mm,
explain to me what you saw? And she explained exactly who I'd seen.
yeah.
And the unconditional love that came from this being, I will also never forget that either. It's
Mm,
just absolute purity, like you said.
yeah. It
um
is.
yeah, amazing. So a lot of people now, are talking about contact and all that, and there's a lot of truthers out there saying about contact. Well, look, I just want to make it clear with everyone, contact has been happening for a long time, way before I even was born. But it's getting more, so it's getting more and more as we raise our frequency. So each generation that are coming through, or each person that has cleared out as much stuff as possible and has stepped into their true multidimensional self, like us and
Hmm.
like others like us,
Yes.
we've raised our frequency up to make it easier for that connection.
That's right.
And yeah, it's only going to get more and more and more as we go through time. So contact is already happening, and it's going to develop a lot more with. I mean, I've worked with children that are having contact. I've had parents contact me saying,
Yeah.
my little 4-year-old is drawing pictures of uh, spacecrafts and flying saucers and little stick men and that are green or grey or whatever,
Yeah.
um, and that they're
But
having conversations with them and all that. And I tune in because I always tune in and just to make sure that it's nothing not very nice that's contacting these
true. Yeah,
children.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not. And a lot of these beings have been assigned to these kids and to
Mm,
older people like us.
mm,
So we've
mm.
got beings that are assigned to us too, to help us develop, to help us learn, to help us come up and step into the new earth.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
I've had
we
people come
are
to
we
me.
are those
Yeah.
clans though too, aren't we? Like we are those clans. We
Oh
you
yeah.
you talk about
DNA
Arcturian.
connection.
I have that. I'm that Arcturian as well. And the Arcturian technology that comes through my body when we're in any healing,
Yeah.
with somebody on the table, it's been something that I have been journaling for many years, and
Yeah, same.
experiencing, because it was
Yeah,
just such an interesting thing. And it was like, I don't want to leave my body. You come in, be in here with me, but I want to learn from
yeah,
you. Like, show me the stuff. And oh my goodness
yeah.
me, I couldn't get enough of it. It
I
was
know. It's
fun.
amazing, isn't it? It really is.
It
And
is.
likewise, the same with me too. Um, oh my goodness, some of the things that they've showed me, and when once you've been shown and you've had this contact and you've had all these downloads of information, you know that when you're healing someone, you're going in so deep that you're
Yeah.
going through the soul's journey, not just this living the vessel that we're in, but you're going deep, like through the entire soul's journey, healing stuff, which is
Yes.
from other
Yes.
lifetimes, from parallel lifetimes and presences that are happening right now,
Yeah.
and even future stuff. You're able to tap in and deal with it all and heal it all. It's fabulous. I will just say we had a mothership come over in the group, so I stopped our group stuff over the winter because it's just too cold to sit outside. So we
Yeah.
always sit outside. And but I think it was like the one before we stopped. There were four of us here sitting out, and we did the usual meditation and everything, and we had flash bulbs and things flashing off in different areas of the sky, and it was quite busy. And then all of a sudden, this what we call know to be now a mothership came over. So it was like a sequence of lights that just kept coming and coming and coming. I would say roughly about two rugby pitches in length and possibly one wide. It was huge,
Yeah.
and very slowly. So took about 20 minutes going over the top of us, and we're all like, "Wow, look at that!" Um, and then one of the other people said to me, "Ginny, can you tune in to see who does it belong to?" And I just tuned in, and I said, "Well, there's different races on board. It's not just one race." So I feel like because of
Yes.
that, it's the Galactic Federation. But I said, "There's a really small crew. There's hardly anyone actually on it." And so one of the other ladies who's a healer, she tuned in, and she said what she got was that they are on standby just in case people needed to be lifted off planet Earth,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
depending on what unfolds. But that's not the only ship. There are many. So I don't want
Yes.
to put fear into anyone, because I don't believe for any instant that there is going to be a nuclear war or anything like that, because they have
Me
tried
either.
before. Yeah, and ET stopped just before they were going to press buttons. The whole lot stopped and shut down. So that was ET stepping in, because it
Yeah.
affects them also
Mm.
where they are, through the dimensional
Absolutely.
spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
they've told me we're not going through anything like that.
no, no,
No.
I don't believe so either.
Mm.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that are going to unfold on the Earth first,
Yeah.
but we are heading towards the new Earth, and it will be amazing once we get there. I've seen it. I can take people there when I do uh, the activations that I do, and that's one
Yeah.
of the activations is we activate that new Earth blueprint, and bring it down and overlay it over the 3D or the 4D, depending on what people are in right
Yeah.
now. And so spread it out now. So it's the more that we focus on that rather than all the doomy gloomy stuff that everyone seems to put out, the more that you stay out of fear, you
Mm.
we're going to head there a lot
Totally.
quicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say too that when we're out on the field, I just want to lay out what it's like. So when we're doing a session, we're in the middle of nowhere. We've done a meditation, and often you get up at break, and you can go off with you don't never go off on your own. You're either with one other person or two people, and you go
Mhm.
off and you tune in yourself, and depending on what where you go. Sometimes we go and stand by the bush line, and we had some amazing experiences with earth beings actually that are in other
Yes.
dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
um yeah, honestly amazing experiences. And one time we went, there were five of us, I think. We decided we'd go in the break and go for a walk down into the bush. So remember that you're absolute pitch black. You can't turn a torch on, so you're gently treading in front of you. We knew we were on a path, so we went down into the bush, pitch black, and we just stood there because we reached this point where you use all your senses when you're in that position. You
You
literally, your
go.
senses are so heightened, yeah. And we reached this point where we thought, okay, we need to be here. There was something, it just had that sort of magical feel about it in the bush.
Mm.
So we just stopped there. And one of the guys that were with us, who's also very intuitive, said, can you feel anyone with us? So I just tuned in. I went, yes, I can actually feel this very strong presence. He said, yes, that's the guardian. It was like a real, almost like a wall feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, when I looked behind that, because they were sussing us out basically, when I looked
Yeah.
behind that, I actually saw a sea of faces of these little pale moon coloured beings, no hair or anything, no clothing, and they're like pale moon colour, and they've got, instead of having the big almond shaped eyes that ET
Yeah.
have, they had these round shaped eyes, very big, and very small features here. And they're about 3 or 4 foot tall as well.
Yeah.
And there was a sea of faces watching us. And we actually heard footsteps coming down the path, two-legged, because you can tell,
Mm-hmm.
two-legged footsteps coming down the path. And we thought it was one of our other friends. So a couple of us went, is that you, Doug? Is that you, Doug? Several times, no answer. And these footsteps actually came right the way down and stood right in front of us. So we just stood there. You could feel the energy. It felt to me like I was being pulled backwards,
Yeah.
because there was also a lot of beings behind us, which I could feel and sense and everything. And this being stayed there for several minutes, no actual communication, unless it was doing something with our light bodies, I don't know, but there was no actual verbal communication of any type.
Yeah.
Um, and then all of a sudden we could feel the energy change, and instead of walking away, they just vanished or went into that other dimensional space.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And we decided to walk back up the path, and that one of our other friends was up there having his own experience with one of these little beings. And we frightened it away, but he actually heard the one that was with him. He got down on his knees to be the same height. And the one that was in front of him, he heard running away once we started coming up the path.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to get to the point where you've really got to, anyone listening, you've got to get over any fear that you might have.
Yes.
Because if you really want contact, you've got to get into that space of no fear. We had one encounter with what we feel is Bigfoot. And literally we're stood at the edge of the bush. You put your arms out like that, you stand there, you open your heart up, absolutely no fear whatsoever. And you've got this thundering thing literally just a few feet away in the bush, crunching logs and other things going on in there, making all this racket. And you know it's two-legged because you can hear it actually
Yeah.
two-legged crunching. And all of us that particular time, all of us had an experience with Bigfoot. And we know this was down in the South Island. It stood at the bush line. And I've had experiences with fairies down there as well, twinkling lights in the trees.
Mm.
Um, oh, there's just so much. And even up here at our house, wherever I tend to go, because when we were in Auckland, I used to get a lot of activity in the house there. I remember when we sold, the estate agent said to me, "You are going to close all that stuff down, aren't you?" Which made me laugh. And I went, "Yeah, of course I will." And then we moved here, and of course I opened up all the channels and, right, ready for connection, and grid the property and do lots of earthwork wherever I go and do all that. And we've had beings come in the house here. We've had they normally turn our TV off. That's what normally happens. So the TV goes off. We can feel the atmosphere in the room change, and
Yeah.
they'll come in. People that have come here and stayed at my place, of some people, not everybody, but some people have had experiences like one lady that came and stayed here. She said she just got sat in bed to meditate, and she went into a meditation state, and literally straight away, two ladies actually have had this in the same bedroom, funnily enough. Straight away, in their mind's eye, it was like this book which was filled with codes. And when the pages were flipping, and when they saw a code that they really liked, it made them open their heart, and go, "Wow, look at that."
Mm-hmm.
It would stay there for a bit longer so they could soak up the image,
Yeah.
and then flipping away. One other lady, John and I, often we'll go outside in the summer evenings, and we'll stand out the front there and stare up at the sky. I had a lady friend staying with me that particular time, and she'd gone to bed already. And John and I went and stood outside where we park our cars, and we just stood up because it's darker out that side, and we just stood out there and we looked up. Next minute, we see this sheet of dark looking energy, and dark energy is nothing to fear, by the way. It's actually got every colour in it.
Yes.
And it came down, hit the roof of our 3-bay shed we've got, bounced off, came across the ground. It was spread right out as well. It was really long. Came across the ground and went into the house, through the house. She came running out and went, "Oh my God, this dark energy has just come through the bedroom." So, I mean, that's confirmation that we all saw it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was all about at all. Libby and myself we've seen like what I would call, I've seen this a couple of times actually, like an energy craft. So it's like a ball of energy, and it's got a central like nucleus in it, and it's so high up in space and traveling really quickly. Both my daughter and myself saw this ages ago, and I've seen them since, going so fast. And it's literally an energy craft, and we found that with these energy crafts, they can make themselves a lot bigger and start to form solidly if they want to, and they can also make themselves very small.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to get the little mini saucers, little wee mini saucer flying saucers at the farm. That one I was talking about with the base in the mountain.
It's that near Dargaville. Was that near Dargaville?
Yeah.
Going back to that, I have heard that is a hotspot for contact, for ET contact. It's like there is a base there, and even under that big body of water that comes in there, the Kaipara Harbour.
Yes. Yeah.
I have heard that when Hitler came down to look at Antarctica, apparently he came down in a submarine, came to Antarctica, he actually called into the Kaipara Harbour. Whether it was on his way down or his way back, I don't know. Because there was something going on there too, in there.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to so many people that have had contact in that area, both on the ground and seeing flying things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a real hot spot, that area up there. And I think there's a base under the water. That's what I feel. I don't know whether,
Yeah.
but this probably goes
There
into the land as well.
it possibly could be because it is definitely
Yeah,
heightened. Like there's so much going on out there. I
yeah,
had I had heaps going on while I was living over there. Lots, I learnt
yeah,
lots. But you know, we were talking
yeah,
about the codes, the light codes and the coding and the light body, and you were getting shown that.
yeah.
It just reminded me that I used to go when I stepped into the field of somebody on the healing table. It was like pulling down this. It'd be like pulling down a control panel, and next minute I'd be punching different codes in, and then
That's
we'd
it.
be working on the field. It's like it
That's
would
it.
open all the fields up.
Yeah,
And it was just incredible. I freaking
yeah,
loved it all. Ginny, it's
yeah.
so exciting. Like,
It is.
actually, it
That's
really is.
exactly it. There was a control panel that came down. They showed me I could pull whatever I wanted out of the control panel
Yes.
into the body. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
amazing.
incredible. So many people that were being activated in that time I was working up there. Oh my
Yeah,
God, I loved it.
yeah,
It's like I'd love
yeah,
to recreate it all again because it's like we had so much fun and there was so much learning. I just couldn't get enough. It was like,
yeah,
show me more. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Well, I mean, you can do that now. I mean, they come on
Yeah.
the ground and start teaching us stuff now. You know, we see
Yeah.
energies on the ground moving. I've got photographs of I've got a photograph of a cloaked ship above my daughter's house.
Yeah.
I've got this only happened about, I don't know, maybe sort of a month ago, 6 weeks ago. I dropped a friend off who was house sitting for my daughter, who's she's very open and spiritual as well. Had lots of contact herself. Excuse me, I just got to take a quick drink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just dropped her off and I was driving back and there was this beautiful rainbow and it really cloudy, but this beautiful rainbow. And it's literally like I've got to pull over and take a picture. And it was a force that drove me into this driveway. Excuse me, I've got tickly throat. And I took a picture. I got home later that night and looked at the picture, and there was a craft, 4 balls of light shown in the picture, and I expanded it up. I put it on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful way. I I
Excuse me, I've
used to
got
get
real
that
tickly throat.
tickly thing happen and it choked me. Couldn't bloody talk and it would be
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. I
Yeah.
get it every so often.
Yeah.
I've actually been to a friend's doing chakra dance classes,
Yeah.
and and it was the throat chakra this morning. So
Yes. Yeah.
I'm probably
Um,
clearing it.
I'll talk to you about that after we've finished. But there's a lot of you know what I'd love to ask you, what did you think about or feel when you saw that Miami, Florida mall thing happen?
I don't think that was ET at
Nah,
all.
me either.
That was what do they call it? That ray or blue ray, whatever it is that they've got. You
Yeah,
know, when they can actually put fake images into the sky. We know that technology exists because they do it in
the
Japan.
hologram. Yes,
Yeah, where people they put one of those codes in the sky so people can put their phone up and all of a sudden the website will come up on their phone.
yeah.
Yeah, so we know that that technology exists. So
Mm,
that's what I think it was, and I'll tell you why. Because I know that the good ETs, without a doubt, do not want to frighten people. So they wouldn't do
no,
that. They
no,
absolutely
they
wouldn't
wouldn't.
do.
Thank you, Jenny, because I
Yeah,
felt that myself. I was like, now
yeah,
this is a setup. It's not real.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
certainly not really. you know, our galactic brothers and sisters. They're
No.
just not going to do
No.
that. But you know, you were talking about the ship with not many on it and being all different races.
Yeah.
I absolutely have had that contact with them as well. And a funny thing happened was one of my friends, she had this vision dream. You know, you have your vision dreams where you know it's a vision, it's not just a dream.
Yeah.
And she said myself and another woman, another friend of ours, was getting onto the ship. The ship had arrived. We were
Hmm.
getting on the ship. They were bringing other people to the ship. If you want to get on, get on. And
Yeah.
she has a lot of fear around all sorts of different things, you know, and it's taken her a long time to get through a lot of it. But she said, and here I was in this bloody dream, this vision. She said, and you two are standing on there going, come on, hurry up. And she's afraid that we're not who we really meant to be, like that it was an
Oh,
image of me, but not me.
yeah, yeah,
And she's
yeah.
like,
They were trying
I
to get her
was so
on.
scared. Was I being tricked? And it's haunted her basically since then, going, you know, and we quite often have a little joke about, oh yeah, and I'll be jumping on the ship and you'll be running the opposite direction. But you know, it's that thing, you know, like the only way that we're going to know is by listening to the inner voice. And I
Yes.
know throughout all the times, you know, even with an inkling of fear in there, even though all of it, rest of it wasn't, that little inkling going, you just take note, you know,
Yeah.
not run in the other direction, but just be
No.
aware that this
Yeah.
might not be all it's meant to be or
Yeah.
looking to be. So they are there for as a warning sign as well, that bit of fear. But in all of it, I feel that if this ever was to happen, if we were ever meant to jump on a ship and get taken off this planet because it's going to blow,
Yeah.
then I would say we would know it. We would feel the
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I've literally been out in the field and I've had a being standing right next to me. Um, Several different times this has happened, and one time I didn't even know because I couldn't sense them, so they were cloaked. This is how
Yeah.
advanced they are. Because I'm pretty sensitive. I can normally feel if there's someone in my field, and this
Yeah.
is how advanced they are. I
Yeah.
stood there and I'd said to the buddy person, go back to the circle. I'll be there in a minute. I just want to see if there's anything going on. Because I felt
Yeah.
like there was something, but I wasn't sure what. And I thought, oh, there's nothing happening. I'll head back. And I moved really, really quickly and literally stood next to me. I heard these footsteps running away from me. So that
Yes.
being was stood right there. And, we've been in circle before and I've heard, and I wasn't the only one who heard it. Another guy that was there from the States, he heard it. A being that was stood right in between me and him. I didn't know they were there until I heard this light language. That's what it sounded like. This language that was being spoken. And it was only me and this guy that heard it. Nobody else heard it at all. Um,
Mm,
so they are so highly advanced. They do not want to frighten us. They really don't.
no.
Um, you know, we've had a contact here where if they actually feel your heart rate, because this is how advanced they are watching your bodily vital signs all the time. And if
Yeah.
your heart rate happens to high up, even if you're, because this happened to me once, in my head I'm going, oh my god, they're in the room, oh my god, this is wonderful, but my heart rate actually started going boom boom, as
Yeah.
if my body went into a bit of fear.
Yes.
And they went away and the TV came back on and I'm like, oh no, why did you do that, body? And I knew it was show I knew it was showing me, it was showing me from when I was a kid, when I used to get fearful about
Yeah,
things in the
God.
room in the dark with me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a terror time, wasn't it? God,
Yeah,
my
it was.
times like
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many
So
times.
yeah, I just want to put it out there that if anyone is having contact, because more and more people are going to have contact
Yeah.
now, it's inevitable. The more we
Yeah.
raise our frequency up, the more it's going to happen. And if anyone is out there and you've had some weird experience, or you something, um, you know, I'm quite happy for you to contact me to talk about it. I've had other people that have had instant awakenings contact me where they're seeing spirit, they're seeing flying saucers in their room, they're seeing beings in their room, they're seeing portals in their room, and to the
Mm,
point where they thought they were having a brain tumor or something, gone and had
yeah,
a scan and everything done. The medical profession can't find anything wrong with them,
yeah.
and they've come to me, and I've said to them, "Don't worry, it's completely normal." Or obviously it
It
wasn't for them.
is. It is, but it doesn't feel like that when you're not actually,
No,
like for us, we
that's
grew up in the awareness of
yeah.
all of it really, and then experiencing it was sort of, well, exciting more than it was
Yes.
fearful. But
Yeah.
I get it for those who don't have any of this type of awareness, and then all of a sudden, hello, because that
Oh
was
yeah.
that boy, and that was that his parents, they were just freaked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that
Oh,
being had stepped into him, of course, it's going to take his actual physical body and his soul being
exciting.
and everything
Yeah,
days to integrate that advanced energy that's actually come into him.
yeah, for sure.
Mm,
Yeah. It's oh gosh, it's so interesting. But I've got so many stories too, as you would as well. But
yeah.
people can contact you definitely through Facebook. And
Yes, I now have a website which
oh yes,
is done. Yeah, so that's
I Ginny Jones.
www. Yeah, ginnyjoneshealer.com.
Yeah.
And if for anyone listening, there's actually a freebie on there, a freebie light code, which is also a crystal grid, and it's all about abundance. This is an activation for abundance. So if you're interested in downloading that for yourself, that comes with instructions of what to do. And like I said, it's a light code, but it is also a crystal grid, and all about abundance. And abundance can come in many different forms. So it's not just money
Mm,
coming in, it's just lovely, wonderful experiences and other magical stuff.
absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure. Oh, Ginny, fun. So what have you got sort of coming up? You start, so people around Tauranga and that can come and join your groups to go and connect, that
Yeah.
sort
I
of thing,
haven't
or are
set.
they closed groups?
Well, I do have a closed group. There's only just a few of us that are doing that regularly each week. I haven't actually started it back yet, but I am going to soon because the weather's getting a bit better.
Yeah.
Um, I am going to do
Oh,
a large event. So on Messenger, I actually have a ET contact messenger group, which
yeah.
there's quite a lot of people on it. So if anyone wants to know more about when I do these bigger events, please contact me through Facebook or Messenger, and I will put you into the group if you are interested. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, there will be a charge for those, because that putting a charge on it also stops anyone that's just coming along for a laugh or whatever, thinking it's
Yes.
all big fun,
Yeah.
stops them from coming. So yeah, and honestly, they always turn up. ET always turn up, and often it can be on the ground, which is amazing then as well.
Yes. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Very cool.
yeah.
Oh,
It
well,
is
this has
cool. I
been
just
great.
love it.
Yeah. Me too. I know. Oh God, yeah. So exciting. And
Yeah,
we're so just not on our own. That's us. And
that's right.
it's so, I don't know, there's just it's a part of home, isn't it? Within
Yeah,
ourself,
it
that
is.
contact. It really
It
is.
is. But when you think, we are multidimensional beings, so
Mm,
many of us, or many people, are only aware of this dimensional space. Whereas
mm,
when you really tap into your multidimensional self,
yeah.
you can actually go into any dimension that you want to
Yeah.
connect into your beingness that's in that dimension, in whatever form that takes.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah. So exciting. Beautiful work,
yeah, it
Ginny.
is.
And
Thank you, and you too with
mm,
yours. Absolutely.
yeah, fun, all right. Well,
Yeah.
much love to you and all the very best, and
Thank
we'll
you.
look forward to more showing up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Much love.
And you.